This episode of the Seventh Valkyrie Podcast is brought to you entirely by fan support. To help keep the series ad-free, get early access and bonus features, browse gear and apparel, join the community, or watch the series come to life in living color, you can check out the links in the description. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Seventh Valkyrie Podcast. I'm your host, Colin Sharp, creator of the Seventh Valkyrie and all that jazz, and today I'm talking about how I'm living with two cats now. Now, my partner has recently moved in with me for a month, and they've brought their cat, and this has just been a fascinating process for a couple reasons. And first, I want to provide some background information about my cat, who I think I've shared about before, but I picked up my cat while I was drunk at a pizza place. I had way too much wine that day. She was a stray, and my friends were encouraging me as it was kind of towards the end of the year, and I was like, in this next one, I need to be bold. And they're like, yeah, you need to embrace El Barbara, which is this idea of like the barbarian. You need to be strong, powerful, like raw. And I was like, yeah. And then Stardust hopped up into my arms, and the rest was history. And I have a picture of this like moment of like them being like, you need to be a man. And like, this is all women who are saying this. They're like, you need to be tough. And I was like, yeah. They're like, you need to be strong. And I was like, yeah. And one of them was like, you should adopt this cat. And they put it in my lap, and I was like, oh my God, she's adorable. Her name is Stardust, and she's amazing. Now, Stardust is a semi-wild animal. She used before she jumped up into my lap at a pizza place. She would steal shots at the fancy hotels, and then she got they picked her up, trapped her, and sent her to a shelter. Then she escaped, got to the pizza place, was meowing for food because she wasn't happy with kibble, and then hopped up onto my lap, and the rest is history. And she's an indoor-outdoor cat, and we've got a pretty good understanding. We go on walks, she lets me pet her belly, and she's great around dogs. But then what? All of a sudden, here comes my partner, Ellen, and her indoor cat, Iggy. Now, Iggy is bigger than Stardust, and used to fighting against big cats from her apartment life. But Stardust's been bullying Iggy. Stardust is I'm from the hard streets of Guanacaste. You don't even know. And it's so for the first few days they're hissing at each other, and they're kind of evenly matched, and but then they start to kind of get used to each other. It's all of a sudden they're when Ellen and I are in the same room, they're sleeping, they're oh, we're cool, we're okay with each other, super adorable, and then they're fighting again. They're rah, 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 crazy cats, and it's just funny to me, and also so fascinating to be a part, to see these animals. We had these little apex predators that domesticated themselves because they were I can just be cute to humans and they'll do all the hunting for me. And they're so adorable and snuggly and silly, and they're I'm just a cat. Until all of a sudden they're oh shit, I'm an apex predator. I need to kill and hunt and fight for my territory, and I am death incarnate. And they scuffle. So we're working on it. There's you can give cats pheromones and shit. So they're hey man, just take it easy. Just a couple of cool cats playing some jazz, man. Yeah. Gotta get that healthy fat, man. Anyway, so we're trying to work on that, but it's just been such an interesting episode of Planet Earth to get to live in. Animals are fascinating, and the way they interact with humans is fascinating. It's obviously, as a human, I find it interesting trying to interact with humans, but I also find it kind of super interesting trying to get on the same wavelength as another species. It's just such a fascinating experience trying to see the world the way they see the world and understand the world the way they do, and try and understand how you can come to an understanding. I said the word understand a lot. There's a lot of my love affair with how awesome nature is continues. It's in tons of my podcasts. You can see it throughout Seventh Valkyrie. I love nature, because it's the life on this planet that is not us. It's foreign and alien, but also familiar in some ways. So I think it's just fascinating. Anyway, that's my spiel for today. Making lots of progress on this next season. Writing. Don't want to date this podcast, but I guess I just did. Boom, boom, boom. We're crushing it. Love you guys. Bye. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Seventh Valkyrie Podcast, which is brought to you entirely by fan support. To help keep the series ad-free, get early access and bonus features, browse gear and apparel, join the community, or watch the series come to life in living color, you can check out the links in the description.